the thing. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy Taco Tuesday, Alice Shattuck.
We did not have tacos, however.
We did not have tacos, although there is Taco Tuesday at downtown in the town where we reside. Just so you know, next Tuesday, Sally and I saw it.
Ooh.
As we were buying the stuff to boo her classmates, which is something that we have to do this week, in between bringing her to singing lessons.
When did childhood start to have all these things that you have to do?
Yeah, throw eggs at houses. Shaving cream each other. Let's do something disruptive.
Oh, now all of a sudden, as a parent, we have to go buy. No, let me finish this up. We all have to go. I'll go out and buy little Halloween trinkets like pencils and stuff that none of us want around the house. None of the parents whose children are, quote, booing each other want any of this junk in our house. I've already thrown out a ton of it that people have booed our kids with.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want this. None of the other parents want it either. And yet we're all, for some reason, participating in this thing where our kids bring it to each other's houses.
A bear leg trap near our bushes, near our front door. So next time a kid comes to boo us, that he gets
But the kids aren't doing it independently. These aren't kids who can drive. And in our town, everything's far apart. So the parents are driving them from house to house to boo their friends.
Well, Sally has asked me to do that this week. So
I know.
I
think it's insanity.
Especially since some of these places are like scary dead ends.
When did this start?
I don't know. I don't
like it. I'm against booing. Put me on record.
I mean, there was a time when kids just used to egg houses. Somebody just egg a house. Actually, we have an egg-colored house, so it wouldn't be as bad. When me and Jimmy were growing up in Winchester, we had... Okay, I'm going to be very careful here, Alice.
Okay.
There were two kids that we knew, Axis powers, who just happened to hang out together. One kid was off the boat German, who seemed to be an SS enthusiast, and one kid was from Iran. And I think pro-Ayatollah. I'm not sure. Anyway, this guy, like this team, they hang out together. They're the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
This is in the 80s, so we were still salty at Iran for the hostages. So this team, the German and the Iranian kid, decided one Halloween. Well, the rest of us were using shaving cream, and shaving creaming each other. Did you have that when you were a kid?
Not really.
What you do is you get a shaving cream, you take off the normal cap and put on an aerosol cap so it'll shoot far away, like 15 to 20 feet, whatever. And then we had eggs to whip eggs at each other in houses, which is just kind of mayhem thing. So the two kids got together. The German kid, who was kind of a friend of ours, but not on this night, and his friend, and they decided to deploy chemical weapons. So they decided to use aerosol spray filled balloons and things on us, and a bottle rockets that had been dipped in chemicals. They just went.
There were water balloon things people did.
Okay,
but
is anybody there I can talk to? Because they decided to deploy chemical weapons. That should be it. That's where the applause sign flashes, Alice.
Okay.
That's human beings are struck in the humor nerve when you say something.
Okay. Sorry.
Jesus.
Jeez.
The best and worst thing about you is that your soul is dead. It's the best and worst thing about you. You won't laugh.
Speaking of people whose soul you say is dead, there's Dave Cullinane talk in the chat. John Stewart wants to know if you think he has vocal fry.
I
definitely have vocal fry.
Yeah,
People say that about me.
So he's talking about Snell bringing in props. I would leave the props alone too.
You brought a plant.
Yes, but that was to stick at the Cullinane. It was all part of...
I know, it was part of a bit, but still.
Alice is grumpy again. Welcome to my world, Morgan. You think Dave Cullinane has some sort of vocal fry? Dave is a ditz. There's no doubt about that. He is... But does he have vocal fry? No, although I think he's one of these guys who says New Britain, too. I think he's got that... Oh, it's a gallant clell. What's it called?
Glottal stop.
Glottal stop. He's got that, too, but... Dave's such an odd guy that I mean, he's too soulless. I don't even think he has a Boston accent, but he has no soul. Minahan was when I was in there, had talked about the book 11/22/63.
Mm-hmm.
And, remember, and I asked, I just assumed that that's November 22nd, 1963, so that's
Right.
about JFK. That was a safe assumption, and of course it is.
It's true.
So remember, I asked Dave if he knew what that date was, or what the book would be about, and of course he had no idea. Can you imagine an Irish Catholic kid from Boston has no idea what November 22nd, 1963 was?
Nobody has any idea anything anymore.
Yeah, but like his dad, Big Jack Cullinane, that
probably had a picture next to the
absolutely. That was a big
crucifix
thing.
on the wall.
JFK was a local guy. This was a big deal here.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of international news too. You don't get murdered every day as a president. But no, nothing. So I don't think he has vocal fry. Dave doesn't have enough soul in his heart to have vocal fry.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody knows anything anymore at all. I don't think the people that do those like man on the street things where they ask people incredibly dumb questions and they don't know any answers are like, I don't think they have to work that hard to find those people with those answers, right? It's not like they ask 500 people and only 3 of them respond that way, because everyone does those and they're incredibly popular. I mean, what?
I just see Julian Phil. Kids on Long Island used to put flour in a sock and swing and hit you with the sock, leaving white powder on your costume coat. That's good.
Yeah, and John in Wakefield says he got suspended for 2 weeks with dry ice bombs.
What happens when you chuck dry ice? It's just that it hurts?
I mean, it kind of like evaporates off it.
Where were you in Long Island, by the way? My mother's
technically
from Rockville Center, and my other people lived in grandparents lived in Hempstead. Okay, so I guess we should talk about some stuff here, Alice. First, I'm going to get to Greta Thunberg because I want to start out having an adequate amount of hate. I hate Greta Thunberg. I wish her little sailboat sank. I think she's a jerk. She's a bad person. She's selfish, self-centered. Thunberg. She's an idiot. She doesn't know anything. I hate her. And
I mean, she's a kid.
She's 18 now, I think.
Well,
she's a kid.
But that explains why she's an idiot, which is why the world shouldn't listen to her, obviously.
She's a kid, and I hate her. I don't care that she's a kid, okay? I don't care. David Hogg was a kid, too. He's a moron. He's an embarrassment that he's on the earth. Here's Greta Thunberg.
I mean, personally, I think that it's a very bad idea to focus on coal when this is already in place. But of course, it's a very infected debate.
But for the climate issue, are the nuclear power plants the better choice for the time being now?
It depends. If we have them already running, I feel that it's a mistake to close them down in order to focus on coal.
Okay, so my question is this. Mm-hmm. Who's listening to this little idiot, this little creep?
Apparently, like, all of Europe.
She doesn't know anything about
But I don't know why they're listening to her. It seems insane.
So according to Thunberg, she's an idiot. According to this dumbcov, any nuclear plant that's built already you can have, but you can't have new ones. And why is the reason why? Because she just doesn't want to.
Yeah, and then, like, they're asking for approval. Like, what about the nuclear power plants? Are we allowed to have those? Well, if you've already built them, I'll let you keep them. But otherwise, They act like she's the kid in the Twilight Zone episode with the mind control power. It's like, what should we do, Greta? Tell us. Like, what? You don't have to listen to the mentally ill Swedish teenager.
Right.
We don't have to make that our policy.
You know who she is? She's Fauci. They can never follow up and tackle her with anything. Oh, disseminate something more charming for us, or yell at us now. Do one of the... I don't care about this.
So they had Ashish Jha at the press conference today, at the press briefing. Did you see
I saw
any
that
of this?
You sent it to us. I didn't see it.
I sent one clip. I only saw it
It's in there.
I don't know. But it was, they were doing. I don't know if I got the exact clip because I was like hearing parts of it live. But basically they were doing this stuff again. Like, what's going to happen this winter? What should we do? Blah, blah, blah. Like, all this stuff. Like, they're still asking him, like, questions like that. By the way, John in Wakefield says, when you cap dry ice in a bottle of water, it blows up bigly. Don't lose a hand. So I guess that makes sense because it's, like, rapidly expanding.
Follow-up, since the White House has now said the pandemic is over, can you just talk a little bit about what the message is for Americans as we head into the winter months? Can they behave as though it's business as usual as long as they're vaccinated?
Yeah, so the president was very clear. COVID is not over. There's a lot of work to do.
See?
Wow.
It's not over.
Is this hack, this credentialed, talentless, psychotic, is he allowed to mischaracterize what the president says?
The
president made it very clear the pandemic is not over. He never made that very clear. He made the opposite clear.
Exactly. He said I guess maybe, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. Maybe the distinction he's trying to make is the pandemic phase may be over, but COVID isn't over. Like, we're in the endemic phase now.
This is rough stuff, man.
For Americans as we head into the winter months, can they behave as though it's business as usual as long as they're vaccinated?
It is.
Are we allowed to? As long as we get vaccinated, will we be allowed to do the normal things? Can we have Thanksgiving this year?
Seriously, it's a gross question. If I was the news director, I would like say, get back to here. You're not going out. You're now writing about food. That's it. Can they behave as usual, or should they be compliance again? Kate, can they behave as usual, or should we lock all the kids away until the suicide rate gets up to 30%? Can they behave as usual? Freaking, what are you, freaking kidding me?
Right.
Yeah, so the president was very clear. COVID is not over. There's a lot of work to do. We still have 300 to 400 Americans dying every day. Tens of thousands of people getting infected every day. There is a lot of work to do. What we know...
Wait. What's the work to do? What's the work to do?
It's a lot of work. He's got a lot of work to do.
Seems to me that this COVID doesn't give a flying F about Ashish Jha.
I'll tell you something. I do know one piece of work that they didn't do, even though we went through exactly this last year, and they didn't do it. And then it's now been another year, and they still are deciding not to do it. Now go play the clip that I just sent you as well.
Should I finish this cut or no?
That's the key part of that cut.
Okay.
is that stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
2 follow-ups, if I can, on topics that you talked about. When you say that you expect there to be a pickup in the pace of vaccines in October, did the White House miscalculate the demand for these new boosters when you asked Congress for the money for this?
No, remember, we had no money for this. And we thought it was really important, and I still think it's really important, that we have enough vaccines for Americans, for any American who wants it. And so we had no money. We asked Congress for money. Congress chose not to fund it. We went and had to pull money from other really important programs. We purchased about 170 million doses. One of the things that we know is if we want to make it available in rural communities, if we want to make it available at motor speedways, you're not going to use up every single last dose. You have to be able to willing and be open up a dose of 10 and know that only 8 or 9 might get used. So you have to have a little slack in the system. And based on all the calculations, I think we've made sure to purchase enough vaccines so any American who wants a vaccine can get it.
You mentioned about pulling money from stockpiles of tests when you were talking about, to Tam's question, knowing that you can't answer what might be coming in the fall and winter with the surge. Should Americans be buying tests now and stocking up on tests so they have them in preparation for what could be coming?
What I would say is, the calculations that HHS had done, again, I think these were done before I arrived, suggested that if we got another Omicron-like event, we should have about 900 million tests in a stockpile so we can get it out to the American people, because it would take us 4 to 6 weeks for domestic manufacturing to ramp up again. We're going to have nowhere near that. So that is a real problem. We are going into this fall and winter without adequate tests because of congressional inaction.
Oh, we still have no tests. We still have no tests. We did this last year. Testing is one of the least invasive ways that you can do stuff. And by the way, one of the only ways that a lot of people can get around work vaccine exemptions too is by doing frequent testing. So when they do this stuff, they've not allowed the testing to ramp up to meet what they already know is going to be the demand. Just like last year, they knew there was going to be demand for testing and they didn't let it go and didn't, that was what everybody told the White House to do, was make more tests available. And they didn't do it last year too. Don't you remember all the doctors told them to? And then Jen Psaki was like, oh, Mom, what are we going to do? Send out tests to people? And then they ended up having to do exactly that because there weren't enough tests. Well, here we are back again. It's now been a year and they still don't have the one easy thing. If there had been more tests available in extremely early COVID before we knew how to treat COVID, then a lot of people wouldn't have had to die because they were telling people there was no COVID here for months and not letting people test because there wasn't any testing, right?
Well, yeah, and they also excluded the market from offering tests.
They wouldn't do at-home tests because they were worried about tracking people.
Right. The CDC wanted to do their own testing, and the CDC wasn't capable of doing their own testing. It's ridiculous, but also, like,
So Julie and Phil say Julie actually grew up in Rockville Center.
Oh, really cool. How old is Julie?
Yeah, you might know Tom's cousins.
Well, my mother grew up there, too. She went to high school with the girl who played 86 on Get Smart. Howard Stern from Rockville Center. Okay.
So this is insane, obviously.
Well, obviously,
we're doing
but also,
a repeat of the exact same things so that they can panic.
This guy who's mischaracterizing the president is now slamming Congress. I think there was just a Inflation Reduction Act passed that had all sorts of goodies in it. I think there was a CR, continuing resolution, just passed as well.
Right.
To keep the budget, the government open.
Yeah, I believe the Democrats control all the houses of Congress,
yes.
too. So I don't know what exactly they want here. But it's just so insane. And the idea that we are, like, continually back to square one, like they can't do anything about, we just don't, there's no way we can have enough tests. We knew how many we needed, but there's not going to be tests. So essentially, isn't he answering her question, which was, should we be buying up the tests at the store and stockpiling them now? Didn't he just answer that? Yes.
I mean, why is there still a COVID task force? Can we just call this thing a night, okay?
Well, as the president was very clear, COVID is not over.
Right, that's right. He's been very clear about that. By the way, my cousins lived on Linden Street in Rockville Center, which is where we used to hang out and play. Famous event took place in Linden Street, Alice. 1985. We had smoke bombs. Used to be able to buy these little round smoke bombs. And we had one in the middle of the street, and blue smoke was coming up, and we would all take turns and run through it. And it was my turn to run through it, and I ran through it, and my cousin John ran the other way, and we collided. And my buck teeth went into his skull, and he had to get stitches. Linden Street. Somewhere there's John Seymour's dried blood. Ugh. 86. What am I doing? Okay. All right. So let's see. Should we go to this other piece of? Where should I go to next?
Well,
I have it on the move. I gotta say.
In case you feel the urge, it is National Coming Out Day.
Oh.
I hope you know. Corinne Jean-Pierre told us her coming out story to open the press conference. We don't have to watch it because it's boring, but that's where we are as a country. Is people like have real problems, like they can't afford anything, and the White House has made sure that nobody's going to be able to get any COVID tests this winter, and everything else. And we're being treated, instead of like an actual press briefing, we have Corinne Jean-Pierre telling us about how she came out to her family and how long it took them to accept her. So we're just an unserious country right now.
Yes, I agree with you completely. I have a question for you.
Yes. Yes. What's the question? What question do you have for me?
Oh.
What question do you have?
My friend Meredith Corman, Alice.
What about Meredith
Fancy
Corman?
Bank Sports Corner. The New England Revolution wrapped up the 2022 Major League Soccer.
My friend Meredith Corman.
That's great.
She's on Nesson, working for Nesson. One of the nicest people in broadcasting. And considering she's so beautiful, I say respectfully, by the way, she has nothing but a good attitude towards people. Some people, especially sometimes some of these broadcasters, these kind of sideline sports broadcasters, get a bit full of themselves and can be a handful, and she is not. She's a great, nice person. I miss working with her. And she used to be nice to animals too, which is nice.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay, so what else is going
on?
What was I gonna say about something about tonight? Let's see. So we had karate. Then we did. Okay, we got the Halloween stuff. Oh yeah, we talked about the ratings earlier. Thank you for the words on the ratings, my radio ratings. I was last night. Unfortunately, Alice and I enjoyed a nightcap, and so I fell asleep half on my couch for the first couple of hours last night, and so I just aspirated for essentially just stroked out there. So my mind was half dead this morning for my show. But these walks are the best thing in the world. Taking my walk before the show, and I took one after too today. Totally, the radio show. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. It kind of gets me spiritually involved in the show, and it's just a great part of the day. It's a great part of the day. That said, should we be? How do you feel?
What do you mean? I feel great.
Do you have a sober October, or you have a cocktail?
I'm sober Octobering right now. I don't know. I might change my mind.
Well, don't start late if you're going to start. You don't want to be up till 1 a.m.
No, that doesn't necessarily mean that.
Okay. I don't know. No problem. No problem. All right, what else
so anyway,
guide me.
Okay, so a few things on some of the Senate races. One is in Pennsylvania, the media is like an actual like they don't actually know what to do about John Fetterman because he's a disaster. So on the one hand, we have, I think it was like New York Magazine or Vanity Fair or somebody did this huge
piece.
It was like the vulnerability of John Fetterman and like
they gave him the full Beto O'Rourke treatment. It's
well, this must have been in the works for a while, and they didn't fully realize where this race was going when they made that piece go. Like they must have been working on that for a month or so, because for the most part, like most of the media that's reacting to things in real time is freaking out about him. So I just resent, because it was further up the thread, this video from MSNBC with 28 days left to the midterms. Can you play this or no?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was just going to...
Where MSNBC is talking about John Fetterman and how this race is going, because anybody who thinks that John Fetterman is seriously up right now with the way the media is acting about this, like they have to be seeing stuff on the ground that they know something's deeply wrong here, because they have given up this race. Listen to this MSNBC piece.
Okay.
We had a monitor set up so that he could read my questions, because he still has lingering auditory processing issues as a result of the stroke, which means he has a hard time understanding what he's hearing. Now, once he reads the question, he's able to understand. You'll hear he also still has some problems, some challenges with speech. And I'll say, Katie, that just in some of the small talk prior to the interview, before the closed captioning was up and running, it did seem that he had a hard time understanding our conversations.
So we have MSNBC saying that the Senate candidate, the U.S. Senate candidate for the state of Pennsylvania, on which like the fate of the Senate could hinge, can't understand conversations.
Yeah.
I would say that's a problem if you want to be a U.S. senator.
Alice, he's not having trouble. He's having problems with auditory processing.
He can't understand what people say to him. And MSNBC is actually reporting on it, so you have to assume, like, if you watch Biden...
Who's the lady next to him? Is that his wife?
I don't know. I'm not looking at it right now.
He's kind of a exotic dress.
But if MSNBC is reporting like this about Fetterman, with the way that they report on Biden, when we can all see what's going on with Biden, it's got to be much worse than we're seeing with Fetterman, too.
Yeah.
If MSNBC is actually saying out loud that he can't understand conversations, I mean, like, it's got to be really bad there. I think that race is like a done deal.
Yeah.
For Democrats.
Well,
I believe
it was called.
Oh yes, the decision desk, the burn barrel decision desk made a call.
Called it.
You also called Georgia, where they've been doing these hit jobs on Herschel Walker. Well, they've come back. Somebody's sending out Oppo research on Warnock now. And like Free Beacon is publishing it, which I know isn't that huge, but
well, no, the Free Beacon is a reputable site.
No, they are right wing, but they're absolutely reputable. I don't find them like questionable at all. But so this hasn't been picked up by mainstream sources, but this I think is a big enough story that mainstream sources might have to look into this, if only to like attempt to debunk it. They're going to have to do something here, because this is not a good story for him. This is from today. New records obtained by the Free Beacon reveal that Raphael Warnock's church, which pays him a $7,000 housing allowance, $7,000 a month housing allowance. That's a lot of housing allowance.
My goodness. Are they going to suggest that he's a con artist?
No, they're not. But listen to this. So he gets a $7,000 a month housing allowance from his church.
A nice gig. Man of God.
Secretly owns a low-income apartment building that tried to evict residents during the pandemic. One of the residents they tried to evict during the pandemic was late $28.55 in rent.
Fantastic.
So it seems to me that, and they have interviews with the people in this story saying this rental company treats me like a piece of bleep and all this stuff.
There we go.
So that's actually, and that hits him where it hurts because he's Mr., like, be kind to poor people. Democrats, Republicans want everybody evicted and are mean, evil, greedy landlords.
The decision desk has called this race.
I know the decision desk called it, but I just thought that was an interesting story, so I'm very interested to see where this goes. Since early 2020, 12 eviction lawsuits have been filed against residents of the Columbia Tower at MLK Village. Isn't that beautiful? Which Warnock's church owns 99% of. The average rent owed by the residents clocked in at $125 a month. The building has received over $15 million in taxpayer funding because it's low-income housing.
Shocking, shocking, shocking.
They treat me like a piece of bleep. They are not compassionate at all, Columbia Tower resident Philip White told me. White is a 69-year-old African-American who says he served in Vietnam and received an eviction notice on September 20 for failure to meet a $192 rent payment. The building tried to evict White in September of 2021 for $179 in past due rent. He said the case was dropped after he paid up plus an additional $325 in fees. White plans to fight his latest eviction but will do so without legal representation. He doesn't even own a phone. None of the residents in the building I spoke with had any idea that the Ebenezer Baptist Church owned the building. One resident told me she was served an eviction lawsuit during the pandemic after she paid her rent one day late. A Fulton County marshal carried out a court-ordered eviction notice less than 3 weeks after Warnock sent this tweet. Unemployment benefits if expired rent is due today, and many Georgia families are at risk of eviction in the middle of a pandemic. That resident was sued for late rent of $28.55.
Fantastic.
So, maybe Mr. Warnock should take some of his $7,000 a month that he has to pay his rent and help out some of these people who are late like $100 or $28.
Housing allowance. As long as it's not a salary, it's just a housing allowance. That is great. That's great.
That's an incredible story.
My man Herschel Walker.
So I am very interested to see how the mainstream press is going to manage to ignore that. Because
the decision desk has called it,
I know. That's what Morgan says in the chat. He says it's done.
Hey, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, what?
When I tell you that the shoe thief is attractive, it's not up for debate.
the decision desk called it?
The decision desk called it. She's attractive. Absolutely. She's attractive. As a matter of fact, I'm bailing her out. Remember
Mostly, I think it's the black eye that you find attractive.
Could be something twisted happening there, Alice. Agreed. By the way, we've been so amorous recently, Alice, that don't you think that I think that we got to slow down, to be honest.
Good idea.
This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's just I see you just more as a source of recreational sex now than anything else.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I apologize. I'll do better.
Thank you very much.
I'll do the work.
Thank you very much, and try to decenter me a little bit.
Okay, I'll make an effort. So anyway, did you see that another big name is supposedly about to get whacked at CNN?
No.
A bunch of people speculating it's Acosta.
Right, is he even a big name? He's like, what's his gig now?
I don't really know.
Does he have a daily gig? I don't think so.
I
mean, he's
the president of News Cycle Media, former managing editor of Media, etc. And
of course, Acosta's going. Lemon
he
essentially
says
got fired, but didn't leave.
He says about to exit CNN. I'm not allowed to say his name until the end of the week. He does not have a place in the new CNN, says an executive. He reminds us of the Zucker period we are looking to move far from. The only reason he is still on air was not to look like we were cleaning house for political reasons after the closing. So
that's great. Of course, Acosta's got to go. You could even say, Anderson Cooper should be back in the field. If he's anything, he should be back in the field as a reporter. He's this stupid host. He's a small brain. And obviously Lemon is useless. And Wolf is at least a veteran reporter. He at least tries to put on the appearance of being non-biased. He is biased, certainly, but I mean, you keep him if you want to, and put Anderson back in the field. The guy from Dorchester, the other guy with the white hair, what's his name? Do you remember? John Robert? It's not John. John, whatever. He's not too bad either. Get him in the field. A lot of these guys should be in the field because they're not good thinkers. They think they are, but it makes them instantly unlikable. So I would put them back in the field. I would even put Tapper back in the field. And if he doesn't want to, just say, it's fine, you can leave. You whack Tapper. There's no reason to have him. He's also a small brain. He was this weekend. I mean, he just, like, we played it yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever. I hope nobody thinks that was right for the Tommy Tuberville to say the mean thing. Mm-hmm. And also, like, the fact that I'm glad everybody agrees with me that it was unacceptable. It's like, okay, that's not what you're supposed to be doing here, Jake. There's a point to you being here. Yeah. It's to try to make the hour intriguing and compelling. But not only that, but, for him to say that he wouldn't take Trump people on because they were dishonest, you can't be like that. You can't be working in Washington, D.C. and assume one side is being honest with you and the other side isn't when dealing with lawyers and politicians.
Right. So these journalists, I mean, and Jake Tapper's like one of the better ones. I know people are going to be upset with me for saying that. John King says John Stewart.
John King.
Yes.
He is good. Well, he's a latecomer to the map board. I'll take the other guy from Massachusetts, actually. MSNBC's guy, Steve.
Yes. Kornacki.
Kornacki. Yes. Steve Kornacki. Mm-hmm. He's really good. Actually, Kornacki, I actually haven't found a chink in his armor whatsoever. He seems to be a down the middle kind of player, which is just so
he's really
rare.
good. I think honestly he's into the actual like X's and O's of the map so much that he's like distracted by that from being an activist, if you know what I mean.
Look at this. Look at these people playing together. Jon Stewart and Dave. Jon Stewart says, John King, he is good at the map board, was once married to Dana Bash. Dave then takes the ball, seen as has long abandoned providing alternative point of view. Jon Stewart then says he converted to Judaism when he married Dana Bash. I did know that they were married, and I did know that they broke up. I don't really know what her story is. I guess she's fine. Mm-hmm.
So have you heard of this guy, speaking of like activist journalists, have you heard of this guy, David Levitt?
I feel like I read something about him this morning.
His Twitter bio is award-winning multimedia journalist, byline CBS, Axios, Yahoo, Examiner, etc. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know what he does now, actually. But anyway, he has over 300,000 followers, and he spent the last few days sending his 300,000 followers after a woman who tweeted that she homeschools her kids. It's a Senate candidate for Virginia's 12th district, so she's a state Senate candidate. Uh-huh. But she's saying that, she homeschools her kids and teaches them real American history and like about Columbus and stuff.
And he's got a problem with it.
Yeah, not only does he have a problem with it,
What's his Twitter handle again?
David_Levitt.
I thought you said it said American journalist.
Her name is, he is a journalist.
I thought you said like multimedia journalist.
That's his bio. Okay. Multimedia journalist, yeah. So not only did he have a problem with her, quote, teaching her kids how to be racist, according to him, he spent like an entire day posting the number for reporting people for child abuse to the state of Virginia, posting it to his 300,000 followers over and over again and calling them and complaining that the wait time was too long because of the high call volumes.
So he wanted to report her?
For child abuse. For teaching her kids to be racist.
So is this guy actually still employed?
I don't know exactly where he works, but he's a blue check mark with 300,000 followers, so I'm not sure what he's doing. But so he posted, can someone please call childcare services on Tina Ramirez, who's a Hispanic mom, by the way, whose kids are black. So, I mean, like, who's teaching her children to be racist. The Virginia State Hotline for Child Abuse has a 10-minute hold and is experiencing high call volumes with 14 callers ahead of me. So he's busy tying up Virginia's state hot. This is a quote journalist. His bio says he's an award-winning multimedia journalist, okay? And he's spending his time tying up the child abuse hotlines for people who need to call in and report children who are actually being abused because a Hispanic mom is teaching her kid about Columbus.
That's fantastic.
I mean...
So this guy... So he's...
And she probably... I mean, like, they probably have to investigate when they get calls. So she's probably going to have the state involved in her freaking life now. Over that.
Wow, what a piece that guy is.
I mean, and does Twitter, those arbiters of like not having abusive behavior and harassment online, do they step in and take any of this down or suspend his account or do anything like that, do you think? Or are they letting the white journalist with 300,000 followers sick his followers onto the diverse family in Virginia, which is nowhere near him and he knows nothing about because they have different political...
What a piece. Hopefully somebody takes him apart tonight. I'll try to get him tomorrow. He won't come on. Aries came on today, by the way. Bad news, Alice.
What's the bad news?
The bad news is... So Aries Spears came on. He's the guy who said the stuff about Lizzo yesterday that we played.
Mm-hmm.
Had him on my radio show today. He had laryngitis. His voice was gone. Shot.
Poor guy.
At the beginning of the interview, I could tell he couldn't conjure up enough for any words, and so I just had to essentially monologue around him. I felt bad for him, but we had to cut it out at 10 minutes. I said, okay, man, I don't want to ruin his voice. He's coming to town to do comedies. But he was cool. Stood by it. No apologies by this guy. No apologies. He said that's all. I say how I feel, and if then nobody likes it, then who gives a damn? And I thought, damn right. I mean, it was, an artful thing to say about somebody looking like the emoji for excrement is not necessarily a nice thing to say, but who cares? He's a comedian who says bombastic things. And
it's also, by the way, a reaction to everybody 24/7 claiming that this person looks beautiful and is super healthy and wonderful and we're all incredibly attracted to it, and if you don't, there's something wrong with you, right? So that's like the place where this is coming from.
But it was, what's interesting is that I assume Aries Spears is a little bit older than me, but maybe he's around the same age. The moment I started talking to him, he's been on Mad TV forever. He's a guy he's been a comedian on the circuit forever. I felt immediate kinship with him, and I don't know why. It felt like somebody who I should be talking to, and he should be talking to. And I wish his voice was better because I think that he was enjoying it. But we'll get him again. There was another thing I was going to say. What are the chances? What are the chances that one Erica Nardini will return my email?
3%?
You think so?
Maybe.
I think it makes sense. I think she should. Why wouldn't she? Even though, of course, I emailed her and there's a typo in it, but it's kind of on brand for me. And actually, considering who works with her, I think their typos and emails are par for the course. I wouldn't think necessarily that Portnoy's emails are Shakespearean in their cleanliness. Jesus. You really are a robot.
I'm not a robot. That's so mean to say.
No, you are. It is. I was thinking about that today. It's good because, I enjoy it. You are Serbian. Not that Serbians are robots, and I have nothing but good run-ins with Serbians. I love them all who we've met through your church, and they're excellent people. But there is something about Serbian women. There's no doubt. There is. The shields are up, and okay, I don't want to get myself in any more trouble. All right, it's time for the chat.
Let's see what we have on the chat now that it's back up and running.
Well, it's back. The bad boy of the burn barrel. How's it going?
Good.
I am upset with the dedication, or the lack there of dedication, of people leaving messages into the burn barrel. You know how many tablets I broke out of anger because nobody's been leaving messages?
The thing was broken. I didn't pay the bill, but check bounced. Now it's all set. Now it's cleared.
It's fixed.
Yeah, we're good.
Tom, congrats on the tremendous ratings. Well done. Well deserved. And perhaps it's karma for bringing back the music, baby. The music's back. Thank you.
The music is back because the mob bullied me.
Tom's easily influenced by peer pressure.
I gotta be. I mean, if they want the music, they can have the music. I'll figure it out with Matthew Sweet in litigation if we ever get big.
Well, what did you do at school today, son? Meow, 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 meow.
Oh, the furries.
Mm-hmm.
Trigonometry, meow, meow. Oh, that's interesting. I think it's time for you to take out the trash. It's getting a bit stinky. Meow, 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 meow. No, I did it yesterday. Meow, 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 meow. Well, you won't have the car this weekend. You don't take out the trash today. And I know you don't have opposable thumbs, but use your teeth.
So here's my feeling. Would I care if one of my kids wanted to be a furry, like dress up in a fur? It seems like a labor-intensive lifestyle. But I don't think I'd care. I mean, it looks like ridiculously stupid.
Well, being trans is also a pretty labor-intensive lifestyle.
Yeah, but the furries aren't trans, are they?
They're trans species.
I don't need the half-shaved head, blue shock of hair, angry nose ring thing in my house. And as a matter of fact, that's not allowed.
Yeah, it's
that
actually
behavior
not.
will not be affirmed already. My daughter has already today. No, I'm not going to.
Well, that's why you have to start the limits the bar has to be extremely low for or high. I'm not sure which way I'm thinking of it, but you have to have like very extreme limits, because then when your kid pushes the limits, like if our daughter pushes the limits of what I allow her to do, she'll like get one ear piercing.
Sally, come here.
Because she's not allowed to do that. So,
my mother never had her ears pierced.
So, but if you're already allowed to have your ears pierced and everything else,
are you oh, what do you think of Greta Thunberg? You don't know who that is?
Good.
She's some 17-year-old creep from the Netherlands or something.
Keep her in public school. She'll know soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, you will learn that she's an important arbinger for climate change or something. She's just some European jerk. I just wanted to make sure in case you didn't know. Anyway, okay. Any word in Darren Clemente? No. How about, did you talk to his son about this? No. So what's going on here is I found out that a classmate of mine in Winchester High School, my daughter's friends, real close friends with his son. Mm-hmm. Now, you would figure that...
What year did he graduate, though?
91.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Clemente?
I looked in the yearbook.
Yes, I remember him. I got a picture of him right here. We graduated together. He invented a sock-wearing style that stuck with me from McCall Junior High.
I might have to check with Kirk on this.
But listen to this. Kirk has no credibility. I have now, my moles are telling me that he was never in Winchester High School, Manhattan. But here's my thing. Darren graduated in 1991. She's friends with Darren's son. I know one Clemente. I guarantee you he knows one Shattuck. So he would have asked at some point. So he knows that we're friends. I've then, since subsequently, I have Facebook friend requested him. Mm-hmm. Nada.
Maybe he doesn't really use Facebook.
Yeah. Doesn't really use Facebook. Well, he could
Some older people don't.
He doesn't really use Facebook and still accept my friend request. So so now I've got a...
Dad, how much does he post?
I can't see because I'm not friends with him.
Really?
Right? Yeah. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Is that I have now mobilized a Black Ops operation.
Okay.
Where I'm going to get Sally and Darren, by manipulating Darren's son, access to Darren's computer, and going to have them get on there and accept my Facebook friend request. At that point, Alice, what am I going to do?
I don't know.
I'm going to unfriend him. For the win, we call that.
Okay.
But if then he friends you?
If he friend requests me?
Yeah.
Well, he'll have to do it hat in hand and with the utmost of...
but mostly, Sally, he's not going to know anything happened at all.
Sally, your job is to get into that office. You need to penetrate the walls of that office and gain access to that machine, sign on to that machine, and accept that friend request.
Okay, but Dad, what are the odds that you and Darren Clemente are the same age and me and Cosmo are the same age?
What do you mean by the odds? They're 100% the odds. This is a good question. What are the odds that it continues to be that way next year? I think it's probably pretty strong.
No, but like that it would like be the exact same.
Everybody in this town listens to this podcast. Darren is listening to this podcast. He knows what he's doing.
I'm sure he is, honey.
Doesn't tell me. I only even knew. He's trying to run a silent run, undetectable, trying to cloak his existence right down the street from me, a la a Klingon bird of prey, or is it Romulan bird of prey? So he's trying to cloak his existence down there. I only knew that he was down here because my other friend, Matt Benton, class of 91, what are the odds? Also told me, gave him up. That's how I know Darren lives near me.
You could have asked me if I knew any Clementes, because we do. We already knew that there were Clementes in town.
But Alice, why would I ask you a random name of one of 300 last names of my school?
I mean, you might have noticed.
Do you know any Thompsons?
I mean,
do you know any
how do you
Janceys?
think
Do you know any
I know?
Rotundies?
This is the stuff that bothers me. Do you think that, how do you think I find out the names of the kids' friends? I have access to all the same information you do, and I knew that they knew Clementes.
I didn't know they knew Clementes.
Why wouldn't you know that, though? Why do I know that and you don't? How did I find that out?
You hang in those circles with parents.
Why? You're at the soccer games in the morning, too.
What do you go around, asking for business cards or something?
No, but I know who people are. I know their names.
Yeah, but why do you know their names?
I don't know. I just know people's names.
Soccer games, I'm generally doing my own thing. I'm not interested in anybody's names. Albeit there are some good-looking MILFs at the soccer games. Let's be honest here. But other than that, I'm just doing
Okay.
What am I doing wrong that I'm supposed to know? So am I supposed to track all the class of 91 people from Winchester?
I'm the keeper of people's names.
There's another girl who lives in this town who went to my school. But I think she was a year ahead of me. Remember, the other side of town?
Amy?
Amy what?
Binding Foley? Is that
Yeah, that's right. Amy Binding. Upper crust, Winchester. Far from where I was. She was... Yeah. There's a whole group of uber wasps. Yes.
Can I just text Cosmo and tell him to tell his dad to accept your friend request on Facebook?
Those terms are acceptable.
Really?
Sure.
Actually?
But why? Is that an act of war in 2022?
No, wait. I want to ask Mom.
It's fine with me. I don't care.
Okay.
We'll see what happens here.
I can't tell if you're joking or not, Dad.
No, I don't care. You want to ask Cosmo to do what he should do to repair? Okay, here we go. You ready?
Okay.
Sorry, everybody.
Hi, Tom. Just wanted to convey to you just how disappointed I am with Alice.
Correct. Good.
Sorry, I apologize.
First of all, everybody got a good look at you yesterday. That's all you guys have to know.
And her derogatory remarks she made in last night's podcast regarding the Greek community.
Seriously, Alice, what do you have against Greeks?
In ancient Greece, that was very acceptable. It was a major part of the social structure
around places. Doesn't mean you have to have an
That's
anti-Greek feeling.
I don't have anti-Greek feelings.
You threw a Molotov cocktail at Nick's down the street.
I did not.
You should do.
Having Greek heritage, as well as family members who are active in the Greek Orthodox Church, I am truly offended.
Correct. Same here.
Her portrayal of my ancestors performing pagan sexual practices was over the top.
Correct.
Especially coming from a fellow Eastern Orthodox congregant like Alice.
Yep. Backstabbing, two-faced Itchbay.
I find the only acceptable apology would be for Alice to wear a dirndl, more commonly known as a St. Pauli girl outfit.
Oh! Yes, you are wearing one of those. Listen, for Oktoberfest, listen, Alice, I need you to look at me for a second.
Okay.
For Oktoberfest, I'm getting you a St. Pauli girl outfit, and you're going to wear it for this show, and you're going to do the pigtail thing. At some point, you'll be holding 2 steins of beer. Capiche?
The ancient Greeks were pagan. So were the ancient Slavs, by the way.
We have moved on to objectifying you. Do you understand this? This is happening.
I don't think it's happening, though.
Yes, it is. I'm getting the outfit, and you're going to wear it.
I don't know about
This, in honor of October.
Correct.
Oktoberfest would, I'm sure, calm down my
Ancient
hurt
German's pagan, too.
from her awful comments last night.
Yeah. How would you attack the entire Greek community?
The ancient Serbs were pagan, too, and did pagan sexual rites also. Everybody does.
The current Greek Orthodox community, Alice.
Everybody does. The Japanese emperors still do pagan sexual acts.
Who the frig are the Japanese emperors?
There's a Japanese royal imperial family, and they still do like a ritual where they, quote, mate with the sun god. That's true.
Can you leave at least one nationality alone so that we might get some more listeners, Alice?
It's not a race thing.
Thank you.
No,
true.
not at all. Not at all.
No, what I'm saying is everybody did that.
Uh-huh.
All ancient cultures used to do pagan sexual acts. That's a known thing.
Uh-huh.
It's true.
Passing this on to Alice and for her cooperation in my request. Have a great show tonight.
Thank you, Phil.
Bye-bye.
I agree with you on every count. I apologize for Alice's hatred and her hostilities towards many, many different
If I hate
religions.
all the cultures, can it really be racism anymore, honey?
Whatever you need to do to get through the night, Alice, I guess. I just want to make sure I'm getting this.
John Stewart wants to know how a broke dude is buying a costume for a prank.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I am going to buy the same ball because I won't pay for the kids' school lunch or something. I am paying. I am getting that because that has to be done. I was in a bar a couple of weeks ago for an Oktoberfest thing with a friend of mine, and the girls had those on, and now it is happening. This is the objectification of Alice is something that I am all for, Alice.
Just listen to Tom get fired up with the caller Dave, and it occurred to me. Tom sounds exactly like Sam Kinison when he's all worked up, and I love it.
I had to call it Dave. I don't think I do.
Is that Tim in Canton?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I have what Kinison has. Say it. But I don't recall. I remember today, Dave and I went after it, and I was, you know what? I was considering I had stroked out during the night, and half my mind was not there. I was much more articulate than I ever am. I had every word. I'm like, I think I used the word enumerated at some point. I was like, do I even know what that means? I know. It was great. Thank you. Dave was good. He's just a Trump hater. Hope he does call back, but I did yell at him. If you're not somebody who's used to be getting yelled at, it's got to be an interesting sensation. You not only get through to the radio station, but then you wait on hold, and then you get on air, and you hear the, and then somebody's like really mad at you, and then you're off air, and then you go about your day. It's gotta be. I used to be a radio station caller. I never yelled at the hosts. I don't think I was always I was a bad caller, actually.
So all the girls at the school I work at, they talk about how dreamy Richard Dean Anderson is, and I was like, MacGyver? Dude had a mullet. What do you kids know about MacGyver?
Yeah, I don't think they would think he's
dreamy.
That would be interesting, though. I was never a MacGyver guy. I never liked it. I never liked that or the thing where the guy would dream and go back in time. What was that called?
I don't know.
Scott Bakula was in it. Whatever that is. Not into it. I was a mid-'80s Simon & Simon guy. Give me Simon & Simon. That's all I ever really need.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Good day.
Hi, Steve.
I felt like I was listening to two different people on two different shows yesterday. Tom, I felt, was having a series of mini-strokes that caused these pregnant pauses. Tom's half of the show sounded like, you know, Alice, the thing with Lizzo... Yes, Tom? The thing with Lizzo! Yes, Tom? The thing with... And then Alice sounds like she's on firing line in the late 1970s, and she's William F. Buckley. Mr. Vidal, the Oriental Orthodox Church, and the Chalcedonians, and the Castle of Chalcedine, and the Coptic Christians, you know. Oh, my God. Please. Unify. Do some freaking thing. Thank you.
Correct. Correct.
That means you have to come up to my level, honey. You have to get into non-Chalcedonians also.
Greek Orthodox. Mr. Shattuck. Oh, well done, Steve. Steve, well done, my friend. My goodness.
Good job, really, everybody on the show.
Yeah, it certainly was. It's great to have it back. Call again. Let's keep these calls going here. I love it. It's my favorite part of the thing. It's wonderful. Wonderful. What the hell is somebody who can do a William F. Buckley impression doing it in Merrimack, Massachusetts, by the way? Oh.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I'll try and make Tom smarter for the next show.
How about not being an ice queen and injecting a little bit of human being in there? Acknowledge that you just made a joke. I acknowledge it. I will not emote. Jesus. I'm kind of into it too, but...
You can leave those chat messages at burnbarrelpodcast.com. Once again, that is up and running. You can also talk to us on social media at burnbarrelpod on Twitter, facebook.com/burnbarrelpodcast, burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com, and you can find us all the different places you like to listen to podcasts.